CJ, you're live.
It is top of the hour and it's time for Making a Difference. I am your host, CJ Metcalfe. On this show, we like to interview people who are making a difference in our community, and that can cover a lot of ground. Today, what I'm going to do, I also want to mention that we are sponsored by the Gulf Theater at the Military Heritage Museum. We appreciate them so much in sponsoring my show. So, two hoots to them. And as a matter of fact, they're going to be the topic of today's show, and something that just went on there recently with a philanthropist. And I will get into that shortly. I'm going to talk to you about the sixth branch of our military service called Space Force. Some of you may have heard of it. Some of you may wonder if it's even an actual entity, and it is. It had its birthday in December 20th of 2019. It was signed into law that it would be the sixth branch of our military branches. And Space Force it's a kind of a sister to the Air Force. It operates under the Air Force, much like many of you may not know this, that the Marine Corps operates under the Department of Navy. So they're I don't know how that all works. It's kind of confusing for me, but that's the way it is. So Space Force is directly hooked into the Air Force. And it's set up so that people who are in the Air Force can transfer over to Space Force very easily, um, without having to go through the whole rigmarole. To get into Space Force, they have a little bit of criteria that they want to structure you by. Number one, you've got to be qualified to enter it, and you have to be between the ages of 17 and 39 years of age. Boy, if only just a couple of years ago I would have joined, I could have gotten in. Um, and you have to be a US citizen and have a high school diploma, GED, or with 15 college credits. They'll accept that too. But you apply through an Air Force recruiter via the telephone, your local recruitment office, or the Space Force website. So you've got a couple of options there. And once you're confirmed to meet all the qualifications, you'll work with the recruiter to proceed into testing. And some of you that have been in the military would understand this jargon. I don't know what the abbreviation means, but the ASVAB assesses your capabilities in four critical areas: arithmetic reasoning, mathematics knowledge, word knowledge, paragraph comprehension. These determine your strengths and your ability to withstand the demands of service and aptitude for the specific career areas. And then once you get through that part, then they screen you and you're assessed on moral and physical standards as set forth by Space Force, federal law, and the Department of Defense. So that's pretty standard. Then you are paired with a counselor to provide placement options based on your strengths, needs, and qualifications. And then you'll be trained. You'll be placed in the delayed entry program where you'll await selection and departure for basic military training. Now people say, well, what jobs are available? I mean, what career moves would be available in Space Force? And for enlisted people, for those of you that are on the internet, you can see the listing right there. But those of you listening on the radio, I'm going to go ahead and read them off. For enlisted service people, We have cable and antenna systems, client systems, computer systems programming, cyber surety, cyber systems operations, cyber transport systems, fusion analyst, intelligence analyst, knowledge operations management, radio frequency transmission systems, signals intelligence analyst, space systems operator, and targeting analyst. Oh, I tell you, I salivate at the thought of being able to work in any of those fields. Now, an officer, which again, as with other branches, when you have a college degree, you can come in as an officer. But in the officer field, they have acquisition manager, cyber warfare operations officer, cyberspace operations officer, developmental engineer, intelligence officer, and space operations officer. This is just too cool, isn't it? But people with, look, we've got the space station, we've got a lot of things going on out in space, and we are not prepared right now. So we are developing this military branch to protect different items, satellites, and the space station that we have up there in space. We need to step up to the plate here. Um, the Space Force flag, I think my producer is able to put it up. It's a beautiful flag, I think. I'm very proud of it. And by the way, if any of you ever look at a display of the military branch flags, there is a specific order that they are displayed in. And that is, the flags are positioned in order of their birthdays. So the Army is first. There, look at those of you on the video, you can see the Space Force flag. Kind of looks like something out of Star Trek, doesn't it? Beam me up, Scotty. But anyway, the Army birthday is June 14th, 1775. The Marine Corps birthday is November 10th, 1775. The Navy birthday is the 13th of October, 1775. The Air Force birthday is the 18th of September, 1947. And the Coast Guard birthday is the 4th of August, 1790. And now we have Space Force, and their birthday is the 20th of December, 2019. So they complete our sixth branch. A little bit more about them. The headquarters for Space Force right now is at the Pentagon. Um, they they hope to have a designated base for them, but at right now it is at the Pentagon. So their march, they went with the U.S. Space Force March, and it's interim, but it's based on the Invincible Eagle by John Philip Sousa, and I'm sure you all have heard that name before. The budget for Space Force is $24.5 billion. And their motto is Semper Supra, which means always above. So their mission is for organizing, training, and equipping guardians to conduct global space operations that enhance the way our joint and coalition forces fight, while also offering decision maker military options to achieve national objectives. The number currently in Space Force, there's approximately 16,000 military and civilian space personnel that were assigned to Space Force on December 20th, 2019. So that includes airmen within the Air Force that were transferred over. They have a contract. Yeah, boy. You know what they say, always follow the money. Colorado Springs, Colorado, February 23rd, 2022. Northrop Grumman Corporation. They have been awarded a $341 million contract by the U.S. Space Force to develop, test, and deliver a deep space advanced radar capability. So, I mean, it's all getting very high tech, but these kids nowadays, this is right up their alley. Their doctrine is to preserve freedom of action, enable joint lethality and effectiveness, and provide independent options for the U.S. Armed Forces. Now, somebody asked not long ago if NASA is a part of Space Force, and in September 2020, the Space Force and NASA signed a memorandum of understanding formally acknowledging the joint role of both agencies. And so, to that, you would say, well, does Space Force have any astronauts? Yes. There are two NASA astronauts who have been members of the U.S. Space Force. The first one was Colonel Mike Hopkins, and he commemorated the first birthday by having his transfer ceremony on the 19th of December 2020, 1 year later. So that's kind of a cool thing. He'll always have a milestone there. As I said earlier, the headquarters for it is yet to be announced. So they're operating, as I said, out of the Pentagon and going from there. Now, the jobs, I went over the jobs that are in Space Force, but the space operations, space engineering, space intelligence, space acquisition and science, and space cyber. Acquisition of space. Are they selling real estate up there? I don't know. That's who knows? That's kind of free reign up there, isn't it? Now, and there are civil service careers in the Space Force. So there's hundreds of career opportunities for civilians. So if you don't want to officially join the military, civilian operations, as you know, throughout our history, have been so valuable in support of our military efforts. Um, I found this kind of interesting for those of you who have thought about a military career and maybe working into the officer position. The typical United States Space Force military officer salary is, drumroll, 107,000 a year. um, they do vary depending upon their responsibility, qualifications, and this, that, and the other. But it can range anywhere from 65,000 to 133,000 per year. So, it just depends. It's all based, man, on qualifications and those testing. Um, on December 9th, 2020, Cape Canaveral Air Force Station and in Florida, the Patrick Air Force Base were both redesignated as Space Force bases in a ceremony held at Cape Canaveral. So we've got two Space Force bases now, and this is slowly building up. So if any of you have relatives, cousins, nephews, grandchildren, anybody that is thinking about taking a step into the future, I think pursuing Space Force would be a very valuable, interesting, groundbreaking, and an open opportunity field to go into and serve your country at the same time. So it's very interesting, and with the technology, I mean, now these smartphones and everything. Ugh, and computer age and these younger generations, they just like it's second nature to them, and those of us who didn't grow up with it, um the real head scratchers. It's like, why can't it just turn on and turn off? Why does it have to be so technical? I don't know. But these young kids, it's second nature to them. So I would strongly recommend encouraging them to look into going into Space Force. Now, recently, with Space Force coming on board and becoming a very active part of our military, the flags are starting to go up across our country. And again, this is a groundbreaking movement to bring Space Force into the cluster of our military branch flags. And here in Punta Gorda, that is the Military Heritage Museum, which you know that I'm very much a part of. I've talked about that in the past. Well, there is a certain philanthropist who noticed that he's a patriot, and he noticed that um, all the branch flags weren't represented. And he's a veteran himself, proudly serving alongside other branches. And he looked at the flags and noticed there was one missing. And so he took it upon himself to first put a U.S. Space Force flag inside where all the branch flags are displayed. And then he took the big step, and yeah, it's a big step, and that was to he paid to have the pole and the flag erected on the museum grounds outside, alongside with all of the other branch flags. And of course, the American flag is front and center, standing tall. So I had the opportunity to get together with him today, and I'd like to bring him on the show for him to, for you not to only see what a philanthropist looks like, but to maybe hear some words of encouragement from him about giving now. I mean, if you're going to do something, if you're going to give to the radio station, WKDW, they're a 501c3, and you can give to them and you can give to the museum, but give to them now so that you can see what your money does. You can see the fruits of it. And why leave it in an estate after you're gone? Because you have no control over it where it goes, and you won't see it. So make your mark now, and give now in an area that is close to your heart. So without further ado, I'm going to bring
And Mr.
Mr.
Robert
Robert
Metcalfe
Metcalfe
on.
on.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
So, what was the incentive for you to put up a flagpole?
Well, I am a patriot, and I'm proud of all veterans who have served. And the Space Force, being our newest, I felt that they deserved the same credit that the rest of us receive. And it was a privilege to serve my country, and I'm sure they will serve us even better than my era. And we served very proud at that time.
You're a Marine Corps veteran.
No,
What did your service time entail?
Well, I, my my most time I spent in Vietnam, 3 tours. Uh, it was something that the first time they sent me. The next 2 times, I said I'm going back, and I'm very proud to have been there. Very proud to have served my country. Uh, the men that I served with, we were a very close unit, uh, and we looked out for each other. And then I went to a line battalion, and I had the same camaraderie with the men that were I served with there. So, uh, it was a privilege and a pleasure to serve my country. I would do it again today if they called.
Well, as I was looking in your bio, um, you were injured several times and you are a Purple Heart recipient. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your service and effort. And I know while you were over there, you served alongside other branches as well. So you became with respectful admiration for the other branches, right?
Yes, very much. The unit that I was with, we worked alongside just about every one of the branches, uh, including the Coast Guard. Most people don't realize that the Coast Guard had uh, men in country, but they did. And so, all of the branches uh, were over there, and they all served very well alongside each other.
Well, you are a patriot. I thank you for being a patriot. And more than anything, I thank you for being a philanthropist. Um,
You're welcome.
where would the museum be without you? Tune in next week. That's the end of the show for today. Bye bye.
All right.